RPA Today Show, hosted by Rob Howes and Wilton Rogers. The show that brings you the latest insights on RPA, robotic process automation, and how it's impacting every industry, as well as interviews with companies that are currently winning big with this technology. You'll also hear from other industry leaders and experts who will be sharing some of their success secrets to help you become more productive and to grow your business. This show is brought to you by Simply Automate, where we help you get more done in less time and more ease for your mind with strategic business automation. Learn more at www.simplyautomateinc.com, and please follow us on LinkedIn. If anything in this show resonates with you, please let us know by leaving a review. The RPA Today Show, where you just might learn something you didn't know. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the RPA Today Show. I'm your host, Rob Howes. I got my co-host, Automation Guy, hashtag. What's your hashtag again? You got two of them. One is Ask Wilt, and the other one is the Automation Guy?
Yeah. Ask Wilt. And they want to ask automation questions, and the automation guy is just to follow my stuff.
Okay, so do that, okay? Because if you want to learn about automation, okay, and we have a great guest here who's been using automation, Mr. Guy Gemmer. He's been using it, not abusing it, but he's going to be teaching you how to use it so you don't abuse yourself. Guy, I can't wait to get this conversation, but why don't you share a little bit, man, but before I read the bio on Guy, just share a little bit about
man. Well, Guy was actually a friend of mine was working with me in the RPA field back in 2017, and he had moved back to he was actually living here in Albuquerque, and he had done some work with the Guy, and like on the business level, the Guy found him a house, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey man, this guy's a sharp tool." And then you talk to him and about automation. So long story short, I talked to him years ago. We did automation, still doing it now, obviously. And then I circled back and started my own company and decided, hey, you know what? I really want to tap into the SMB market. But I need someone that understands a little bit or has already have something running that they can at least, they can relate to it. Mm-hmm. And so I went to Guy and told him what I was looking to do, and we teamed up and we partnered up on a couple of projects. And now I don't know how many bots we have running, like 5, 6, 7, but I don't know. He'll tell you about it. But it's just really want to do it to show what we can do for the SMB market, because we already know where it's going for the SME market and where it is already in the large enterprise, but not for small businesses. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what? If someone breaks that mold now, it'll open up the opportunity for a lot of other small businesses all over the world to be able to take advantage of the software that these corporate giants are using. But small businesses can use it too if you have the right mindset. So
right.
That's how I timed up, and that's where we're at with Guy, man. So it's been a good journey, man, to see what we've been able to do and help him out with. And I think it's just we're still working on some things, but I think that we're excited to be able to do a lot of automation with him. So
Guy Gemmer is the owner of PS Properties, and let me just read a little bit of his bio here. So, having worked in residential real estate since I was 19 years old, I identified a lack of cooperation within the real estate industry. Property management had not matured the way residential and commercial real estate had over the previous decade. I knew that it should have, and I wanted to be at the forefront of that transition. Yes, since PS Properties opened its doors in 2008, it has been my goal, this is Guy speaking, to create a property management company that provides a service to owners as well as realtors instead of creating competition. We work so much better in cooperation instead of competition, ladies and gentlemen. You can learn a lot from this bio. When working with PS Properties as realtors, realtors can be sure that their client will be receiving top-tier service, but also that their owner will remain their client. Very important. Simply, we will help agents keep their clients for life. Guy Gemmer, that is a great mission. Did you just wake up one day and say, you know what, that's what I want to do? Or was it like an accumulative buildup of experiences?
No, it's one of those things, right? That most innovation comes out of necessity, right? Mm-hmm. And so that was obviously 2008 being the market crash, and working in real estate, and obviously still working in real estate and loving that section of the business, and loving my clients and loving the people that I'm working with. I'm watching all of our listings stay stagnant. I'm watching all of my realtor friends unable to sell their listings as well. And I'm going, there's got to be a fix. We've got to do something. And most people don't want to do property management and because it's hard. And most people, realtors, don't want to refer a property management company because of the things that you hear about property management companies, right?
Yeah.
And so out of the necessity of all of those things really came PS Properties, and the way that we're really able to service our clients super, super well, and in turn be a place that realtors can refer clients to, knowing that we also sell real estate, and feel comfortable knowing, hey, we're not just going to pick that client off. We want to make sure that they maintain a consistent communication with them because they've got a relationship there. And so that's really where PS Properties as a property management sector came in, and where it was birthed from. So
that explains it. That explains the specialties being residential and commercial real estate and property management. Investment property coordination and consulting services, real estate investments. I buy ugly homes and close fast. I want just to get to that. I want to get to that. I buy ugly homes and close fast. That's nice. That's a good phrase.
It's one, again, it's you there's a necessity in it, right? I said it before. I still do real estate. I love real estate. And people think of me as that guy, right? It's like I've got a few past clients and friends even who just will text me and say, do you have a guy? Right. And then for whatever it is, sometimes it's like, hey, do you have an air conditioner guy or a plumber, or sometimes it's an attorney or whatever. They're like, hey, this guy kind of knows everybody. He's connected everywhere, because real estate is sort of the hub around socialization. Right. And so maybe social media is now, I don't know, but it used to be houses. Right.
It's
and so everybody comes to me and goes, hey, do you know a guy? And so all of that comes together, and people know, hey, he buys houses, he flips houses, he has rentals, he manages stuff. And so, my wife and I like to say, it's kind of a twist on a bit of scripture, but it's, we like to take old things and make them new. So that's one of the things that we like to do as well.
I like doing that too, man. Speaking of making old things new, that's good. That's good. Although you can't put new wine in old wineskins.
That's also true. That's also true. It's now, not a religion.
What's the biggest problem that you solve? You kind of spoke to it, but it's kind of dive a little deeper in there.
I think from a property management standpoint, which is really where we've used RPA to really mitigate a lot of our tasks and difficulties and struggles. I think in the property management side, the piece that we really fill is being the guy, right? Having a connection to somebody who's going to do a good job making this repair and not overcharge, who's going to get it done quickly, who's going to make sure that the tenant is happy, and in turn make sure that the owner of the property is happy and isn't paying too much, and then of course making our lives easier by making that process cohesive. And you mentioned it from the bio, right? When we're working together, we're able to move the ball a lot further, right? The difference between Jordan and LeBron is that one played as a teammate and one played solo, and you get a lot further as a teammate than you do trying to run solo. And so when you can really build a team around you that implements the different pieces, their specialties, which is kind of what you guys do in terms of our team, you help us in those areas where it's easier for us to skip over these little things, or to miss this, or a big piece of RP is that it just makes it to where the automation helps you to not make mistakes, right?
That's it. That's we
That,
hit the nail on the head with that one. That could be the
yeah,
T-shirt slogan right there.
yeah. So yeah, I think that kind of all of that together sort of sums up sort of the problem we solve, is that we're the guy you can go to make sure that your real estate transaction, whatever kind it is going to go as well as it can.
You are the guide, guy.
Yeah.
Wood, man, what you got?
You know, I just think that, you know, the way that our business economy is changing, adjusting to being able to do the best you can in whatever it is, whatever industry you're in. It's important that, you know, that you take advantage of the true technology and automation that's really out there. And I think that a lot of what we're seeing a lot of businesses are failing to do, a lot of small businesses, is they're not really preparing the right way. We're seeing them invest a lot of software and a lot of automation, and hearing from their friends or saying that this other accounting firm did this, or this other industry did this, other, you know, whatever it is, company did this. So we're using the same software they have, but they don't really do the research, and they don't do they don't educate on how to take advantage of all this technology, right? And in automation, it's allowed businesses to say, okay, you know what? We see you skipped a lot of these little things that you could have done, but we can still help you automate all these processes currently using the processes, the application that you're doing right now, the logic that you're doing right now. We find it very hard to talk to small businesses like yourself about the opportunity for things like that. Large businesses, they're calling on us. Enterprises, they're calling us saying, hey, you know what? We need this thing done. We need some RPA. You're the development firm we want to work with, right? Small businesses, what we're doing is like, we're reaching out to them, but they're like, oh no, we're okay. We're doing this. Like, no, you don't understand. What was the final, you know, click or say, you know what? RPA needs to be part of what I'm doing now, especially in a small business. What was that turnaround, that period? What happened
in your mind too, guy? Like, what was the thinking that you were going through when you finally just clicked it over?
You know, it's kind of it's an embarrassing thing, right? As a business owner, we generally tend to get a little bit big for our britches sometimes. You know, we think, hey, this business revolves around me. If it wasn't for me, this business wouldn't exist. I got to answer my phone all times of the day. I got to, you know, it's because of me that this thing does what it does, right? And what's funny is I saw another property manager in town who owns a brokerage bigger than mine, started after me, has grown bigger than mine. The dude is a hustler, and he's really good at what he does, and I enjoy the guy. But there was a poll that he had responded to that was like, you know, what do you think it is that makes people successful? And it was like 50-50, you know, hard work and luck, 80-20, hard work and luck. And he didn't answer the poll. He just commented and put 95% work and 5% luck. And I think to some degree that's true, probably because I'm a business owner. And that's one of my shortcomings, is that I think the world revolves around me. But the reality of it is, when we take a moment to step away and say, how can this be done without me? Right? How can this exist and function even if I go on a vacation once in a while? Exactly, right? And so once you kind of start to take a step back and look at those things, one, you're willing and able to delegate to employees better and to build the team better. But I also think coming into the automation section of it, it's like, well, I'm used to having a team, right? But I'm not used to like building bots, right? Or I don't know what it means to understand how My softwares can integrate, right? These are separate proprietary softwares. How in the world are those going to integrate? And typically they integrate by a person at a computer, integrating them, using them, independently. And I think what helped me was to kind of just sitting down with Wilton and some of the team and really looking at, what is it that we do that's specific to a computer and a task? How do they integrate? And where is the crossover that we're a part of? And then from there, taking those things and sort of mapping that out. And what I started to do was, one, because my time is super valuable, right? It is, and it's also very valuable in my own mind. I started to record a screenshot of the workflow, start to finish, right? And what I found was, one, I've done a good job of delegating to my staff because I had forgotten some of the steps in the process, right? Because they do it on the day-to-day.
Right.
But what I realized in making those videos was that there are other ways that I do similar tasks from start to finish. And I can replicate this in other areas. And so essentially it was like this. I use this software that I have, that I make videos to communicate to my clients, sort of a canned response. I like the personal touch of it, of sending a video as opposed to sending, some cut and paste email.
Right.
A cut and paste video is a little bit better because you see my face and you can see my expression. So we took this software and we integrated it with a report we ran from another software. And we combined that. Then we sent that out to where in that the email that goes with the video, it then has the ability to gives the option to the people receiving it to click a link, which then generates an email that comes back to us. All stuff we've not had to do now, right? It's all done through the process. All we do is get a response that this person wants this option. And then we can respond to reach out to them. Boom. And it just streamlines so much of the process so we can focus on really the important pieces of face-to-face customer service, being a team in that regard. So wow, that's where, for me, when I realized that, here's my limitation, right? Is that I'm thinking too much about how I need to control this, and really looking at if the bot is taught by me and trained by me, it only has to be trained once and it never makes a mistake again. Right? Like you can't replicate that when it comes to an employee, right? And what it also does is that it doesn't get rid of your employees, right? I think a lot of times people get afraid, like, oh, it's going to put my employees out and we'll have to fire them and all of those things. No, it's not what it does. It makes the streamlined, monotonous processes that typically make us dull and tired and bored, and it eliminates those pieces so that we can do the pieces that we're good at, that we enjoy, and we don't mess up on those. And
which actually increases productivity, increases productivity. So I love the fact that you said that. It's not about replacing people. It's about taking the mundane away from the people so they can do the job that the people need to do better. Because nobody's really motivated to do repetitive stuff. We were back in the early, what was the 20th century, we had to basically put the candies on one thing over and over. Like, we were excited about doing the same thing over and over again. $5 a day was a big deal. But right now, we've evolved, ladies and gentlemen, and to where we can get more done in less time. Guy, I appreciate that.
And I really think that people have now, they love to be more creative. They're not the head down type people anymore, right? They're more, I want to be able to use my creativity, my vision, my skill sets, things like that, to be able to be more valued, feel more valued at an organization or company because of who I am, not what I, and what I'm bringing to the company, rather than just, walking and collecting a paycheck. And that's our new culture. That's our new culture, right? So all these little things that we're doing right now are going to be eliminated. They're all being eliminated. They're all doing it. Right. And the ones that are adapting, like Guy, that are seeing it now, get to focus on, like you said, that those more of customer facing things, creativity,
Yeah.
and things like
Connectivity.
that stuff. Yeah,
Hmm.
man. That's great, man. That's awesome. And that's good. And I think that's important to know too.
Yeah,
Really
it is.
important. Yeah.
Guy, if you could
Yeah.
quantify, I think we talked about this before, but if you could quantify, what would you say the approximate hours you think RPA is saving your organization, your company? How would you quantify that? Maybe go down to daily, weekly, and scale it out maybe.
Man, I think um, so. Some of our processes run, monthly, just one time a month, and some of our processes run uh, daily. Some of them run based on how often, how often we onboard a new client. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think if we kind of break it out, kind of per technology, per process,
Mm-hmm.
I've got one that I think probably saves us 3 to 4 hours a day.
Okay.
And that's the one that we use consistently throughout the day. So we're talking 15 hours a week. I think pretty easily.
Okay.
And that's just one single bot, and it does more than just the communication piece. But
Mm-hmm.
I think we've got one that does that really helps. The one that we do once a month probably saves us, gosh, man, I would say what's interesting about this, and this goes back to that piece of like understanding how much work goes into some of the things that we think of as unimportant and mundane. They're important, but
Mm-hmm.
they're mundane, and they don't just pop up the one time, right? When you do it the first time, it's that there's always some follow-up piece to it. And by putting the automation in place, I think, man, it's like the first communication, the second communication, the third communication, that's all part of that. So, and that's probably at the end of the day, it probably is another 15 to 20 hours a month that we're
Mm-hmm.
saving with that specifically.
Okay. Okay.
And
That's
then
good.
in terms of our onboarding our new clients, it depends on how many clients we onboard, but I think in the process itself, it probably saves us 2 to 3 hours each new client we bring on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, it just
Yeah.
streamlines so much of the process.
Streamline so much. You're talking about 70 to 80 hours, dude, a month. 70 to 80 hours. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
I mean, and we're not talking about, okay, maybe like 15 years ago, we're talking about very, 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 5 years ago, we're talking very, very, very expensive.
Mhm.
These are, and for what you're able to get done and how much you're able to save and the cost comparison to that.
The savings,
Oh,
and the time back,
yep.
Mhm.
back, right? It is important. And
Mm-hmm.
what we're seeing a lot of small businesses that we have been working with is that they can't really quantify how many hours, because what they're doing is doing the same things. Like, okay, this one saved me 4 or 5 hours a week. Let's knock that one out. Boom. Well, this one's going to save me 15 minutes a week, but can we knock that one? Because that one's tedious and I hate that one. This one
Mhm.
saved me 30 minutes a week doing this one. It's just annoying on this one. Can we get rid of that one? And we start seeing these companies automating things that are just tedious that they don't want to do. Like, they have to just do one little project, takes 15, 20 minutes, but they have to log in. They have to do this every single day. And they have to log out, and they have to do this. And those are the ones that we're seeing, like, okay, hey, can you just take care of that for me? Can
Mm-hmm.
you take care of that for me?
Yeah.
It's almost like all that stuff that you want your assistant to take care of first, you have the bot do, right?
Yeah, and it's not
And
15 or 20 minutes, right? What you realize, and that, I think kind of what you've showed me through the process was, it's not 15 or 20 minutes, because you do have to go through all of those processes too to
Mhm.
make it happen. So it's not. And there's all kinds of books about
That's a good
how
point.
focused we are, right?
Yep.
How the interruptions can stifle our creativity and
Mm.
our consistency and so if we have to stop and go log in here, right, where the stopping part is not a screeching halt either. Sometimes it's a slow progression. So we
Mm-hmm.
lose some time there. We lose
Mm-hmm.
some time in the login. We lose some time in when the phone call comes in the middle of doing that. And then we have to go, what was I doing? Did I already
Mm-hmm.
log in? So So yeah, it's not 15 minutes, right? The task itself, when you start to type and when you hit enter, might be 15 minutes, but the whole process itself is half an hour to 45
Yep.
to an hour. And if you get interrupted, it doesn't even get done that day. And then you've got to do it when you get home, all of those things, right? So it's
Yep.
not
Yep.
just that piece. There's more to it than just that.
Oh my gosh.
100%. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think that's the part that so many people lose it. First of all, when we talk about how long does it usually take, they say, oh, it takes about 5 minutes. Well, usually it takes about half an hour, usually, when people say that, right? And then you have to double that time, because you say there's a lot of things that they don't consider, because, the preparation, the turning on, the, opening application, the sending everything, the email, there's a lot of things that happen in between there that aren't really considered. So you're 100%. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's missed about 90% of the time. That's missed, that part.
Yeah. Activity switch, man. When you switch activities, there's a penalty. There's a cost of attention you got to spend, and you're not just going from one thing to the other. You're spending a whole, like you said. Sometimes it's not a screeching halt. It's like a multiple bunch of different things before you get to the halt, which takes more energy. Man, that's good. Well, so Guy, what would you say to somebody? I'm glad you're sharing this information and your experience with RPA, because a lot of people are not. They're unfamiliar with it. As a matter of fact, less than 2% of small and medium-sized business owners even know it exists. But very soon, RPA is going to be like a computer. It's going to be a staple part of a business. So while we're here in the beginning, can you share with people now, like if someone's on the fence about RPA, what's something as an experienced user, a user of RPA, business owner, what's something you could share with somebody who may be on the fence about RPA?
Man, again, when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I think this is, as technology continues to change, I think people adapt with it or they don't. And I think more than just being successful, because you can qualify successful in a million different ways, right? Everybody's not everybody can be Jeff Bezos, and not everybody wants to be. I don't want to be Jeff Bezos, right?
Yeah, me either.
And so, but I do want to have more time. I do want to have more availability to spend with family and friends, and to serve the community, and to do all of those things. And really, if nothing else, RPA affords you that. It gives you that ability. So you can use it to become from a small business to an enterprise, if that's what you're hoping to do. Or you can use it as a small business to eliminate some of the mistakes that are available to be made, to streamline some of the processes and make your life easier, and to help you integrate some of your technologies together where they don't, where you are the person who does it. So I think if you think of it from that standpoint, and then stop being so worried about losing employees or whatever. What I found was that it was my preconceived notions and my own it was just me getting in my own way when it came to figuring out what technologies could be automated. And once I did that, it opened up the doors for me to really look at all of the other ways that it really can be done. So if you're on the fence, think about how much value you get out of planning, right? Planning something always makes whatever you're planning, that process better. So be willing to take the time to look at where you could automate something and give it a shot. And I can guarantee you'll benefit from it. You just will.
That's good.
Regardless.
That's good, man. Whether you want to grow to be an enterprise, or whether you just want to grow to have more time, freedom to be in the community and have a bigger impact, time with your family, whatever you want to do, you get more of it when you automate the mundane. We're coming in for a landing, guy. Last two questions. One here is, what is your best piece of business advice?
Oh man. My best piece of business advice. I think so. This is probably just being a small business owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's about and being that guy, being the team guy, the guy who knows a guy. Love the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think when it comes to our business, the work that we do, even when we're working from home, right? We're still spending more face-to-face time with the people that we work with,
Mm-hmm.
often than we do with our own families, who now, when we're working from home, aren't all that far away, right?
Yeah. Right.
They're close by, but that's not quality time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, you know, I think love the people that you work with. By automation, you free up the time that you can love the people that you live with. And
That's good.
I think everything gets better when we do those things, when we care about the person on the other side of the technology,
Mm-hmm.
than anything else from a business standpoint. I think that matters more than anything. And so
I like that.
so yeah, that'd be my advice.
That's good. It's more than 2 cents there. Wilton?
Yeah. No, I think people really have to automate, because when you automate, you get to spend some good quality time. He's right, with your family and friends. And I think we need to automate more for Guy, because people got to know this guy. And what I mean by that is, when I moved from Texas the first time, a friend of mine told me about him, like I told you earlier. And so we decided to let him rent our house out. Man, he rented it out, took care of everything, never had any issues, man. It was just like clockwork. It was never any issues, man. And if there was issues on the house, they prepared, like he says, what he says he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
We decided to move to Texas. We were gonna put it on the market. We told him we want to put it on the market. He sold it to one person. Like, I was even thinking, I was like, you know what? This have guy. I forgot he does real estate too. He literally said, hey, you can ask for this much for it. So we asked for that much for it. He showed it to a guy before it even went up on the market. The guy took it, bam, within 30 days, we were closed and we were out. So everything that this guy says that he does, he does.
This guy.
Dude, whatever guy says the guy does, he does it, man. So, and I'm happy that we're automating a lot of his processes so people can learn more about him. So speaking of that, how can they find you to be able to get in contact with you if they do need your services?
Man, I'm a realtor, so like you can send a smoke signal, and I'm on. Like, I'm on it, right? Yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I've got a great YouTube channel that's kind of struggling the past couple of months. I just haven't been able to put my time and attention to it because I've been spending more time with family. But I have a ton of great content about market conditions and what values are like in Albuquerque and what the market's doing overall. So YouTube is always a great place, but you can find me literally anywhere. You just Google Guy Gemmer and you're gonna. I can't go dark, man. There's no way around it. I'm everywhere.
And you're licensed all over New Mexico, right? You're licensed all over New Mexico, right?
I am, yeah. So we service the Albuquerque metro area, so Santa Fe, down to Los Lunas, Belen. We actually do Gallup as well, out east. My wife's got family there, so we service that area. We've got a house there, and so we really service pretty much the whole state. Yeah.
And can't you refer out of state?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the benefits in terms of being able to refer out of state is, as a realtor, as a broker, as a property manager, I know a lot of the questions to ask that sometimes, a buyer, a seller, a landlord doesn't necessarily think of. And
Right.
so I can pre-screen and connect you with somebody who knows what they're talking about and knows what they're doing before you go that direction, so you don't have to do that legwork yourself.
Man, Guy Gemmer, thank you, my
Hey.
man, for being on the show. PS Properties,
Yeah.
Google them, look them up.
Yes.
I mean, this his closing words was, love the people you're around. If you can do that, people, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you, if you can love yourself and love the people around you, there's gonna be a tremendous acceleration in humanity. All right, for our
you look forward to
existence.
getting up. You look forward to getting up every morning. You look forward to getting up
Yes,
every
you
morning.
do. And it
for
vibrates, and people around you feel that, and then they're more encouraged. God, keep doing what you're doing, man. Thank you for being on the
brother.
show.
You
The
guys
RPA
too,
Today
man.
Show, where you just might learn something you didn't know. Until next time.